Hey, welcome to my channel. It's called Linessa. In this channel, we discuss all things Florence Scovel Shinn. She was a metaphysical teacher who worked around 100 years ago, and her ideas are just brilliant. So today I wanted to bring you this basic idea that she has, and the thread of it goes into like the Bible, the metaphysics. Like once you actually know what it is, it's very interesting how much it appears, but it has some very, very devastating messages that come with it. So let's look at all the quotes. The first time I heard of this particular idea was in the Bible, which just says the golden rule: do unto others what you'd have them do unto you. But I've also heard them say, what you give out, you get back, as within, as without, as above, so below. Florence actually says, giving precedes receiving. And she actually quoted in one of her later books that the eye with which I see God is the same eye with which he sees me. And it's also connected to the law of attraction, which is like unto itself is drawn. So basically, what I notice in all of these things is the thread that says it's all connected. What's going on within me is the same thing that's going on around me. It's helpful to realize that these teachers, especially Abraham Hicks, will say that we're all experiencing our own individual world. So we are creating the world around us. And I guess the first lesson is to realize that we create it. So as within, so without, as above, so below, as like what we give comes back. The mirroring. So life is a mirror to us. So the first lesson, it's a hard one because it's very easy to be affected by the environment, affected by what's going on, and think that our reaction is in response, but it's actually the opposite. The divine order is that we are the first mover, as Florence would say, and the world shifts and changes according to us. I mean, she even says, if you know the power of the word, you can change the conditions of your life. So by you speaking, by you thinking, you can change your world. Yeah, so again, our initial reaction is to notice this connection, but think the external world, the universe, is affecting us. Whereas we need to realize we are the first mover and it responds to us. The next thing to keep in mind is that there are lots of limitations on this, because Florence will point out that God, the universe, they're not going to override us and our will and our limitations. So if we limit ourselves, they have to work with that limitation. That's why one of her great quotes, her great affirmation is, I do not limit God by seeing limits in myself. And so, in a way, that's a hard lesson to learn, because like you just buy into those limitations and they're so real, but you have to realize you can't, because if you limit yourself, you end up limiting God. So what would Florence say if you're really struggling in this area? Well, the first thing I would think she would say is the law works both ways. So if you are acting a fool, so in the morning, just wake up and say, this is a new day. Miracles shall follow miracles and wonders shall never cease, which is one of her affirmations. And just start afresh. It's okay. And then she also says, like, cast the burden. It's just a whole chapter on the game of life and how to play it, where you cast the burden to the Christ within and I go free. And then I would also think she points out that you just try, like you just remember that you are that first mover and really believe in yourself and just really trust your intuition to know what to go and do next, what to believe next, what to think next. I mean, personally, I was just making some notes and I'm like, this is a great speech. It's so dark, guys. No lights on. It's night outside. Not ready for a video where I'm on camera, but it's like, go make this video. Trust your intuition on that. So ultimately, she does say that what you like, how you limit yourself is like a limitation to God. And so, what she ends up talking about is not exactly, I mean, I did say she would want you to believe in yourself, definitely. But she talks above that. She talks about love. And she talks about the need to realize that this life on earth is about the initiation into love. And I don't mean romantic love, I mean the great, awe inspiring love of like the universe, the love of life, where you look up and life just looks so bright. And life is full of beauty and magnificence. And it's like an incredible thing to feel and to taste, where the air is so fresh and everything's so good. And no matter what is happening, you are just filled with love. And I think if you can start with that sensation, a lot of things will follow from that. But yes, in her great book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, she says that most people think of life as a battle, but it's a game. And the rules of the game is to realize that life is a game of giving and receiving. What you give out comes back to you. Giving precedes receiving, and that's the most fundamental rule of this game. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.